Hello, travelers and monster catchers abound. I'm Stelliferous, and you've crash landed on the Monster Catchers Journal podcast. Today's episode isn't about capturing a rogue glyph in the windswept peaks of Talisman, or decoding a lost sigil from the tombs of echoing souls. No. Today's episode is a tale that's a little different. It's not about catching a glyph at all. Instead, we're returning to one of my favorite places in all of Nibiru, the Verdant Market. A lush, sprawling bazaar, draped in vines and bioluminescent lanterns, nestled deep in the heart of the Greenstead region. You can smell the spices from 5 streets away, and the buzz of haggling voices feels like a heartbeat. I was there chasing a rumor, an ancient relic known only as the Talisman of Nor. Small jet black, worn as a necklace and said to grant its bearer the ability to neutralize even the most evasive flying glyph. Lately, the sanctuary had been swarmed with skyborn troublemakers, glyphs with wings like razors and talons itching for a duel, so I needed an edge badly. I brought Orabeak, of course, my loyal companion. Luna tagged along with Myrno, her stubborn, horn-headed, part meerkat, part rhino glyph. Zena joined us too, riding side saddle with Ignazura, her sapphire-coated tiger with ruby flame stripes that lit the path like a living torch. We didn't know what we were walking into, because that night just so happened to be the festival of the six-fold leaf. Picture this: hundreds of Nibirans weaving between stalls, laughter spilling over as children chased paper-winged bugs through the pathways, the air thick with the scent of roasted bloom fruit and fermented jazzy milk. Everywhere I looked, people were in 6-petaled robes dyed in emerald, copper, and gold, each fold representing a blessing from the Verdalis tree, said to be the heart of the market itself. Shouts of blessed six to you echoed from rooftops to cart. The crowd thickened, and before we knew it, Orbeak, Zentronaut, and I had gotten separated from Zena, Luna, and the other 2 glyphs. I called out, but my voice drowned beneath the merchant's booming advertisement. Liquid starlight soap and glyph nip chew ropes. My stomach growled loudly. That's when I smelled it. A wave of grilled meat and spicy citrus hit me so hard it nearly knocked me back. I turned and saw a tall man standing behind a smoky wooden stall, where long skewers of carnivora bloom sizzled above glowing coals. But it wasn't just the meat. It was the sauce, thick, sticky, and greenish gold. The smell was earthy, citrusy, with a kick of something wild, Verdalis leaf sauce. Free samples, the man said, holding out a skewer. His eyes were shadowed by deep purple circles, and he looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. I'll take one, I said, unable to resist. The moment my teeth sank into the meat, time stopped. The flavor exploded. Sweet like sunset nectar, tangy like electrified lemons, and with a salty, smoky undertone that made my knees buckle. I don't even like meat that much, but I almost cried. How? I whispered, eyes wide. The man just smiled sadly and pointed at the bubbling pot of sauce behind him. That's the kind of market the Verdant is, where you lose people and find magic. Anyway, I kept moving, winding through alleys of hanging crystal fruits and powdered dream root, until I stumbled upon a strange, crooked little stall tucked between 2 large ones. The front table was covered in moth-bitten cloth and displayed only one item, a pocket watch-looking thing made from green brass, its face ticking backwards. That's when I heard a gravelly voice behind me. Ah, you're interested in the timepiece, are you? I turned to see a lanky man with wiry hair sticking up all over the place in all directions, leaning forward with fingers draped like spiders over the counter. It allows any glyph holding it to pause time for precisely 50 minutes. Or 50 seconds, I meant. Sorry. He continued, eyes gleaming. Yours for 50 Baron. Baron? I blinked. I'd never heard of that currency before. I thought everyone used universified credits. No, miss. He sighed. I'm from Eastern Nibiru. We've got our own system, old school. I'm a traveling salesman, can't afford to pay the unification tax. I felt my face flush. I'm sorry, I didn't even know I only have VAR dollars and VAR coins. He waved a hand. No worries, I can exchange. How much? He looked around, leaned in close, and whispered, 500 VAR dollars. What? I gasped. That was practically robbery. I turned to leave when suddenly he whimpered, like a wounded pet. You don't want my family to eat tonight, he said, eyes welling with sparkly crocodile tears. I stared at him. He wasn't just playing me. He was practically performing a stage drama. Ugh, fine. I slapped the cash into his grimy hands, but this better work. He bowed deeply as I snatched the stopwatch from the stall and stormed off into the crowd, clutching the warm metal in my palm. I still wasn't sure if I'd just been scammed or if I'd brought something that could change everything, but that's the risk with these things, right? The stopwatch was warm. Almost too warm. I tucked it into my satchel, tried to shake off the feeling I'd been swindled, and kept moving. The deeper I walked into the market, the more surreal things became. The booths weren't just stalls anymore, they were structures, towering with twisted wood and fluttering banners that glowed from within. One was shaped like a giant moth wing. Another had floating lanterns tethered to nothing, hovering above the heads of buyers who looked half spirit, half human. A child ran past me with a balloon shaped like a glyph, one I'd never seen before. All beaks and wisp and too many blinking eyes. That's when I saw it. A stall made entirely of living bark, pulsing slightly like it had a heartbeat. Twisted roots curled up the sides like skeletal fingers, and in the center, carved into the trunk of the tree, was a glowing green symbol, an old Nibiran rune meaning truth hidden in shadows. I'd found it, the stall of the ancient mystic. But the crowd had thinned. The music quieted. It was like the world muffled itself when I stepped near. Orabeak tilted his head and let out a soft karoo, sensing something was off. Even Zinternaut, normally aloof, dropped down from my shoulder and crawled into my coat sleeve. I approached the stall slowly. Behind it stood a figure draped in moss-green robes that shimmered like oil on water. Their face was hidden behind a bone-white mask and etched with dozens of tiny moving glyphs, not glowing, moving. Like the mask itself was whispering, "Welcome, daughter of twilight." The voice was loud, but it echoed. The voice wasn't loud, but it echoed inside my mind more than in my ears. I froze. How do I know you, or how do you know who I am? The Talisman of Nor has chosen to be found, and you are late. I swallowed. Do you have it? The mystic tilted their head, then reached beneath the folds of their robe and brought out a box no bigger than a tarot deck. It was made of polished obsidian wood, bound in single-braided silver vine that hissed when it moved. One question, the mystic said. Do you seek this power for battle or for protection? I hesitated. A festival firework boomed somewhere far off. Protection, I said. My sanctuary, it's been invaded. Flying glyphs. They're aggressive, coordinated. Something's stirring them up. The mystic nodded once. Then you may take it, but be warned. They pushed the box forward. Power draws hunger, and the talisman is not the only thing that woke up tonight. My fingers brushed the box. Immediately, a jolt ran up my arm, a pulse of soundless thunder that hit behind my eyes. I gasped. For just a second, I wasn't in the market anymore. I saw ash skies, wings of obsidian, a tower of roots rising from a sea of bones, and a single eye, enormous, blinking in a black sky. Then it was gone. I staggered back. Orabeak let out a sharp cry and spread his wings defensively. What was that? I demanded, clutching the box to my chest. The mystic was already turning, robes fluttering like falling leaves. A glimpse, their voice faded into the crowd, of what you will have to face. I didn't find Luna or Zena until hours later. We had to climb to the highest root bridge over the market just to spot them again. Luna was covered in flower garlands, and Zena had bought 2 sacks of spice dust for no reason except that they smelled like old dreams. But when they saw my face, they knew something had happened. Something bigger than the talisman, bigger than any glyph. Something was waking up in Nibiru, and it had its eye on me. The market didn't feel the same after I left that stall. The music still played, the food still sizzled, laughter still echoed, but to me it all felt far away, distant, like I'd stepped out of sync with the festival rhythm. The box in my hand vibrated softly like it had a heartbeat of its own. The braided silver vine around it had stopped hissing, but every time I glanced at it, I swore it shifted just slightly, as if watching me. I found Luna and Zena near a stall still holding the stuff that they had bought. When they saw me, the fun stopped. What happened? Zena asked, her voice dropped. You look like you just saw the Pelma. I think I saw something worse, I whispered. I showed them the box. Neither of them touched it. Is that it? Luna said, eyeing it wearily. I nodded. The Talisman of Nor. We didn't linger. The market was winding down anyway. Vendors were closing up, sweeping glitter leaf confetti from the pathways. Somewhere nearby, a group of musicians stuck up the final 6-fold leaf hymn, the one meant to bring peace to the coming dusk. We left quietly. I tucked the box safely in my satchel and followed the others through the southern routeway, an arch path framed by hanging moss and glowing sea pods. I glanced over my shoulder one last time. The Verdant Market shimmered in the distance, warm and golden, like it had never changed, but something had. Just as we stepped beyond the final vendor, a breeze blew past us, sharp, cold, out of place. Orabeak flared his wings, feathers puffing. Myrno snarled low in his throat, and even Ignazura's fiery stripes dimmed to a dull ruby. We paused. I looked up. The sky was cloudless, but a single feather drifted down, black as the void. Dripping with a strange silver ink, I picked it up. Without thinking, the moment I touched it, a word echoed in my mind. Return. Nothing else, just that. Zena didn't say anything, but she stepped closer. Luna reached for my arm. We kept walking. None of us said it out loud, but we all felt it. Whatever I woke up in that market, it wasn't done with us, and it definitely wasn't done with me. We made it back to the sanctuary just before dawn. I barely had time to set my satchel down before the first screech split the sky. Dozens, no, scores of flying glyphs darkened the horizon. Razor-winged ones, feathered shriekers, even a few I didn't recognize. Glyphs shaped like storm clouds with eyes, and metal-winged kites that left scorched trails in the air. They weren't just here to chat either. They came to fight. Orabeak flew up with the battle cry, but even he couldn't take on all of them alone. Myrno was growling low, stomping the ground like a rhino, ready to charge. Ignizora's ruby flames curled along her spine. Then I remembered the talisman. I yanked the box from my satchel. It hummed in my hand, sensing the presence of hostile fight. The braided silver vines curled and the obsidian lid opened on its own. Inside was the Talisman of Nor, jet black, smooth as voidstone, and pulsing with veins of violet light. It almost looked like a small wing curled inward. Without hesitation, I slipped it over Orabeak's neck. The moment it touched his feathers, everything changed. A shockwave of energy burst outward, invisible but felt. My ears popped. The flying glyph paused midair, just for a second confused, and then Orabeak moved. He blurred a flash of silver and gold and dove straight through the formation like a comet. His talons struck a talon wing that had always dodged him before. This time it dripped like a stone, tangled in its own wings. "It's working," Luna shouted, her hands glowing as Myrno launched spines upward, striking down and diving hook beak that had taunted us for weeks. Zena grinned. Riding on Ignizora's back, the sapphire tiger leapt into the air, leapt and swatted a sky leech right out of the clouds. Every strike landed, every dodge turned into a counterattack. It was like the flying glyphs forgot how to fly. Orabeak shone brighter than ever, his wings stretched wide, the talisman glowing at his throat like a miniature black sun. He let out a cry that echoed across the hills, pure victorious. The glyphs scattered. Those that didn't fall fled, some into the storm fronts on the sanctuary, others disappearing into clouds of mist. Within minutes, the sky was clear. We stood in silence, panting, smiling, covered in cuts and dust and bits of feather, but victorious. I looked at the talisman, now dimmed to a soft purple flicker. It worked. It really worked. But something still lingered in the air, a pressure. Like we'd just passed a test and something was watching to see if we'd pass the next one. Luna turned to me. You think they'll come back? I didn't answer right away. I was looking to the north, toward the storm-torn cliffs of the storm-scarred delta. If they do, I said softly, we'll be ready. After the sky battle, and after the glyphs were driven off, I finally sat down. My legs ached, my arms stung, from cuts I hadn't noticed in the heat of the fight. My voice was hoarse from shouting commands, but my heart, that was steady. We protected the sanctuary for tonight. At least we were safe. I slumped down into my hammock, tucked between two long, blooming whisper willows, and exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. The air was thick with the scent of moss, steam, and singed feathers. Orabeak perched nearby, grooming his wings carefully. Luna and Zena were leading Myrno and Ignizora with herbal salves and bits of dried starfruit jerky. Oh, sorry, tending, not leading. And then, Zentronot, I croaked. There was a rustle in my hood, followed by a tiny salute from my shoulder. Tea, I whispered. Please, strong, sweet, Nibiran. He gave a dramatic nod, adjusting his little explorer satchel. Yes, he has one, and vanished into the shadows like a tiny, serious librarian on a mission. I closed my eyes. The stars twinkled above, just barely visible through the tree canopy. I could hear soft music drifting from the sanctuary's common area, Someone had started playing a sky flute, the kind that only plays when the wind breathes through it just right. For a moment I let go. My thoughts wandered. I thought about the talisman, the power I felt when I used it, the eyes in the sky I'd seen. The eye in the sky I'd seen. The mystic's voice echoing in my bones. What did they mean when they said the talisman chose to be found? Why not? Or why now, sorry. Zentronaut reappeared triumphantly, holding a small mug with both hands, barely bigger than he was. The cup glowed faintly green, and the steam rose from it, curled into delicate leaf patterns. He handed it to me like it was a priceless relic. Blessed be little tea prince, I muttered. I took a sip. Instant warmth flooded my chest. The flavor was earthy, with a dash of something bright, citrus peel and a mint root. The sweetness hit last, a caramel glaze that lingered on the tongue. It was perfect. Thank you, Zentronaut curled up in the hammock beside me and yawned like a squeaky hinge. I stared up at the sky again. Maybe we earned this peace just for tonight. Maybe not. But it's ours. And I'll guard it. Good night, Nibiru. Good night, Earth. Good night, everybody in all of the solar systems that inhabit what is space. Stay smart. Keep your Glyphs ready, and may the stars shine down on you. And Drethar keep his peace with you. Bye now. See you next time, travelers, and monster catchers abound.